atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a common rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to a brand new episode of Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and joining me as always, my co-host.
Hello, I am Rex, and today we are on a very special episode, as it would appear.
Yes, this is a milestone for us. We are on episode 50.
Oh, God. How did we get here?
Well, to be fair, you joined me like halfway through the journey.
No. Who cares? Not important.
Yeah, but if we're talking statistically speaking, podcasts end after 7 episodes, roughly, they say, on average. And we're on 50, so we've beaten that by 7 times over. With the last episode, that was 7 times over. So we're not doing too shabby, if I do say so myself.
I hope the viewer agrees.
I like how you said the viewer, singular. Like, there's no way there's more than one person, and that one viewer is you. You in the future, because you edit, so you got to listen to all this all over again.
Oh, this is going to be a long one.
Yes, that's what she said. I had to. So before we get going with the episode, I think we need to address what was just played before this. Ladies and gentlemen,
a wonderful song.
We have an intro theme. So I guess we should let people in on our little surprise here for episode 50. That is the first. This being a new year, Happy New Year. We're recording this in 2022, but it is 2023 when you guys will hear this.
Happy New Year's, you know.
Yeah, Happy New Year's. We are going to try and step up our game. We're going to hopefully introduce a level quality we have not had just yet. One of those things is yes, we are on the grind. One of the things we are doing is we are introducing an intro and outro. Rex and I both wrote the song. This is actually, it's funny. A while back, I interviewed Connor Baxter of Invader Design. He's a good friend of mine. And we were chatting one day, and he was like, E.T., you should make the Godzilla rap the intro for the podcast. And I was like, that would be funny, but like copyright, and like that's not my content. It's somebody else's. I don't want to just take music and just throw it in. And, you know, since then I've been trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. I had 2 drafts for intro themes inspired by a radio station I used to listen to. One of them actually I think has gone live. You can actually listen to watch the draft. There's another one that I'll probably post onto our YouTube channel whenever I find it. I've gone through gigabytes of data recently, so I've just been finding stuff, and I've been trying to, organize it and sort it. So there was 2 drafts, and then I kind of stopped worrying about it because it's like I want to create something original. And then I reached out to somebody in the fandom. I'm not going to say names. And like, I'm not going to get political on this podcast. That's not at all what I'm supposed to be doing here. I'm supposed to be entertaining and informing you listeners. But this person said because of my affiliation with an individual who had certain political views. They assumed that I shared similar views, and because of that, they didn't feel comfortable making music for me.
Hmm.
I'm just going to say they read me wrong. I definitely have different opinions than the person I'm affiliated with. It's just he's a good friend, and he's helped me through some really hard stuff. And just because they have different opinions than me doesn't mean I can't be their friend.
Mm.
Even though I disagree, and I if we ever had a conversation about that, I'd say I disagree. But it's because I have different morals and different beliefs than he does, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. That's what makes us special.
Different life experiences as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that went down the drain, and from there it was
That
like,
was a
okay,
while
well,
ago.
what am I supposed to do?
That was a while ago too.
Yeah, that was like a year and a half ago. Then the podcast, we started up. We just didn't use an intro or an outro theme. We did that. Nathan from the Monster Island Film Vault, my good friend, he constantly has been like, if you need to, I'll make you a theme. Like, you need the intro. Like, what do we got to do to get you an intro? And I was like, well, Nathan, I want to make my own. So fast forward, a year and a half, we start the podcast back up. And one of the things I want to do is like, we need an intro and outro. I've got like the credits or whatever you want to call our scripted ending is. But that's it. So Rex, you and I'm pretty sure I had the idea because of what Invader said. I wanted to do a riff on the Godzilla rap by Caveman, Bob and the Bobettes, found on the Godzilla and Other Movie Monsters documentary from 1999, which we will eventually cover documentaries, and that is one I definitely want to talk about. So that was my idea, was like a riff off that. So you and I got the lyrics. There's no like lyrics out there, so we had to listen to it and like decipher what some of what he says, because like it's actually really hard to understand him. Like the hardest one for me was he'll give the French an eyeball as he smacks the Tower Eiffel with his radioactive breath.
He will refire Expo City. Nothing he does is pretty.
He can smoke him out of old Los Angeles. Like it's really hard because of the reverb and like the editing and like how he just says it. It's hard to actually figure out what he's saying.
It's like trying to figure out what Optimus Prime is saying in G1 Transformers.
Sometimes, yeah. I get what you're referencing too. So like after 2 days of both of us basically listening to the song on repeat, we got all the lyrics, and from there we wanted to create something that was inclusive of all tokusatsu. We didn't just want to do another Godzilla rap. So there's
I think
references.
This podcast is very clearly a little bit more than just Godzilla.
Yeah.
In spite of the episode title here.
Yeah. So, there's some Sentai, some Kamen Riders, some Garo, Ultraman, Godzilla, Gamera, Daimajin.
And if you
put
check
in
out
all
the
we
music
could.
video, there may be even a little bit more.
Yes. So, and I'll get to the music video in a second. So, Rex and I spent like I want to say it was 2 months, but I could be wrong. I don't.
That.
It was a while. Like we took a lot of time to like write this.
I mean, you did the bulk of it, to be fair.
Yeah, that's just mainly because I was wanting to make something that not only like riffed on us, but riffed on the Godzilla rap, because like we don't take ourselves very seriously. Like if
Mhm.
you listen to the bloopers, like
We're
Rex
the
and
most
I
serious
don't
we're the most serious podcasters around.
yeah, we're like the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yes, that's the most serious podcast around with
Yes.
with I love the Joey Diaz episode where he just starts making noises.
I was more thinking about when Joe Rogan had Elon Musk and he was smoking pot.
Mhm.
We are
I
the
just
Joe
think of
Rogan of Kaiju podcasts.
anyways.
Yeah, there's some lines that you can clearly tell I was just like, let's poke fun at me.
I can think of a couple.
I can too. So we wrote it. Rex helped finalize the script. Then at G Fest, I met with Danny DeMana and a bunch of other of my friends. And I was like, Danny, could you work on a project with me? And this is actually our first full crossover. We've talked about doing stuff in the past, but we've never actually collaborated. And I was like, Danny, can you sing these lyrics? Like, you know the rap. You probably know it by heart. Could you sing this for me? And we talked and I was like, yeah, could you like edit it so your voice is echoey, and we got to get the girls doing the chorus and whatnot. And he was like, yeah, just send me, if you have the audio file, send me that, and then send me the lyrics and I'll see what I can do. So then I reached out to Grattan from Giant Monster BS. He does music. He did music for his podcast, and he's done it for, I think it was the Power Trip as well. I was like, hey, I want to do a rap. I want to do a remix of this rap. Could you do it? And I thought I was going to have to pay him, but he graciously did it for free for me, and I really appreciate that. I'm actually going to reach out to him here in the next few days, as of this recording, to collaborate again with him on something that I'm excited to get going again. But that's beyond the point. So he did this. If you actually listen to the full music, the full song, because we have a full song, we wrote it as a full song.
For like 2 minutes or so.
Yeah. There's a sample taken from Akira Ifukube's Godzilla main theme. You can hear it in the background. And that was Grattan's choice. That wasn't something Rex or I really had thought about. But it helps keep the beat up. And it was a great little detail he did. So Grattan made that, and then we sent it all to Danny, and then after about a week and a half, Danny got back with me and said, here you go. And this is what we got. This is what we got, and I personally love it. I actually had it blasting in my car, and my car's got Bose surround. So, and I have the bass turned up all the way, so it's like boom, 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 boom. Like, it's just my rear view mirrors are shaking as I'm listening to this song. I know you had a similar experience, but it was not like blasting it, but in a classroom, actually.
Yeah, I showed a couple people. Oh, it was funny. That was a funny day.
We've had a lot of fun with this, and Rex edited together a music video for us, and you can actually watch the music video on YouTube, on the Kaiju Conversation YouTube channel. And beyond that,
please do.
I haven't got it finalized yet. I've been having troubles getting the distributor to work with me, but I'm trying to get it posted to Spotify and a few other platforms as like a single. But I do have a bonus track that I did a while back that I'm trying to attach to it as well, just as a little like bonus.
Are you gonna put that one's music video on the YouTube channel?
No, the music video is going to forever be exclusive to the event that it was a part of.
What? Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's tragic, man. That's
yeah,
actually sinful right there.
yeah.
It's
I'm
it's
okay with it.
that's like almost like the movie we're about to watch.
Yeah, it is. It is. So
You don't want to be compared to this movie.
no, I don't. So
Exactly.
there is our first surprise for this year. The intro and outro. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys check out the music video. And if it's up, I hope you guys can find it on Spotify and enjoy listening to it as well. We spent a lot of time on it, and I'm eternally grateful for Rex's help in the music video and the writing, and Danny for doing the vocals and mixing the vocals with the music, and Grattan just composing the whole thing. Uh, it's been a ride. It's been a long journey. This has been something I've been trying to do since 2019 to get a proper intro, and here we are. 3 years later, it's done.
Only took a little bit of time.
So there's that, our first surprise. Beyond that, it's going to be a busy month, busy year. It's going to be a busy month too. We've got tons of episodes planned. We're gonna, Rex and I are working on our own side projects. His writing, my writing. I'm starting back up my YouTube channel. If you've been keeping track of what I've been doing, and maybe Rex and I can collaborate on some stuff. I know Rex has some scripts he's writing for some potential content that would be amazing to see get put out.
Mhm.
So
Hopefully, I can find the time to finish it off. Still got a
I
long
agree.
way to go, mind you.
This is true. So
Oh dear God!
welcome to 2023, the beginning of our rise in content creators, and maybe even learning more about ourselves than we didn't know already. So it's been,
This is the golden age of
hopefully,
Kaiju Conversation.
I hope it's not the golden age. I hope we're just beginning. I do have some hopes that we can also get some monthly streams. We'll see how that goes. I gotta reach out to the person that showed interest in it. I'm already designing some of the stuff for it, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully, it all works out just fine. But we're about 20 minutes in, and this episode we're going to try and do as little editing as possible because it's going to be a long one. So,
I know me. There's going to be editing.
well, maybe. I mean, I feel like we've done pretty good so far.
I could see a few areas where there'll be some editing, removing a couple coughs here and there, but that's besides the audience's care.
Yeah.
And it makes the video, the recording longer for me.
This is true. So we're about 20 minutes in. Let's go ahead. I seem to have forgotten what episode 50 was going to be about. I got so caught up in that just amazing song.
Jesus, man, you forgot your favorite movie of all time?
No, we're not. Why would we talk? We're skipping over so many Godzilla movies. Why would we talk about that one?
Which one do you think it is?
The one I'm thinking about is from the 70s.
Ew, no.
Ew.
Disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah, who likes old movies?
Who do you think you are?
Who likes old Japanese movies? I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of big American explosion blockbusters. Like, we're watching like the Michael Bay Transformers of Godzilla. today. Isn't it exciting?
I can't talk about a Michael Bay-like Godzilla movie without crapping on it the whole time.
Actually, no, that'd be more King of the Monsters, I suppose.
At least King of the Monsters has style. It's not
Bay has
good.
style. Bay has a style.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you said,
called.
it's not good.
You can't tell whose appendage is whose. Like I'm just watching metal just clink around and like bang, boom, boom, explosion. Oh, there's sexualized women. Oh, America.
Oh god! If you really want Michael Bay's Godzilla, read the script for the Jan de Bont Godzilla movie. Dear God! Now that is actual Michael Bay's Godzilla. Even down to Godzilla, Megatron, and the Griffin like being contained in ice and stuff like that. Bumblebee-Zilla getting captured by the military.
And Joe Russo worked on that, right?
Terry Rossio, who worked on this film.
Yeah, Terry Rossio. I hope he never works on another Godzilla movie. His ideas were kind of
news for you.
Oh no. What
do you know
news
what
do you
we're
have?
talking about?
Oh no, not that movie. We're not talking about that movie, please.
Adam Wingard's Godzilla and Kong: The Battle for Earth.
Oh God, no! That's supposed to come out next year.
Yeah,
no,
we got no copy of it, I'm afraid.
So we're gonna have the exclusive, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, we're test screeners.
Okay, so we're gonna pull a monstrosities here. So we got to see the Godzilla movie early, and let me tell you, it's awful. It's just awful. Now, if we cut off there and we just leave it at that, and we say, okay, that's it. That's the episode, guys. Have a great day. We're going to get tons of comments. We're going to get people threatening us, telling us that we should die, and that
isn't
we're
that
liars.
What you want from the internet?
No.
I do.
I already get that. I sent you screenshots.
Well, I don't get any. What's this racism?
Next time somebody replies to a tweet of mine, I'll say, "Excuse me.
Yeah, at me.
Can you go follow at Rex Xenomorph and harass him too? He would greatly appreciate it."
Yeah, I'm like, if you want to harass Kaiju Conversation, you gotta send it all my way.
Honestly, yes, do that, please. Please. That would be so much better. I'm too busy to deal with it.
But anyways, yes, we are talking about the 2021 film Godzilla vs. Kong.
Are we talking about it?
Ooh, maybe we're doing a little bit different, something a little different, since I believe you've already talked about it before.
Yes, I've already talked about it. So, like, what can we do that's different?
I wasn't invited to that episode.
No, you weren't. It's okay.
I'm offended.
It's okay. So, if we're not just talking about the movie, what else could we be doing?
Maybe we are watching it.
So you're saying we get to sit here, watch the movie, and tell the listeners everything wrong with Godzilla vs. Kong as our 50th anniversary celebration?
Yes.
And now the listeners are going to be looking at the title and seeing that I literally just dropped the entire title.
And it only took us 25 minutes.
Yeah, 26. If you want to count the intro.
Yeah. However much of it will remain.
Yeah. Well, once we start the episode, or I guess not the episode, the movie, we're not going to actually be editing. We will be just talking because there's plenty to talk about. And anytime we need to stop and talk, we will pause the movie and we will talk. We will continue to tell you everything wrong with Godzilla vs. Kong. This is when the CinemaSins would be like, boom, 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 boom. in 4 hours or less. Spoilers.
God help us all.
Duh. Actually, yeah. Spoilers. God help us all. So if you guys want to like follow us, you can, or if you just want to listen to us and like write down in your notebook that you always carry while listening to us to write down everything we're wrong with, you can write like, okay, at this time stamp, they said this and I disagree because of this. And then if you want to, you can just send us a photo of that notebook with all of your notes and we will maybe not get back with you.
Yeah,
but we
send
will
it to
look
our
at
complaints department.
Yes. Complaints at kaijuconversation.itgaf.com.
Yes.
Yes. So, Rex here has the movie set up ready to go. If you're ready, I'll go ahead and hit play here in about 5 seconds once you give me the clear.
Alrighty.
Okay. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you might have thought we were about to start the movie, but we had some technical difficulties.
That
so we're just
not take us like an hour or anything.
It did not take us an hour. Wait, no, it didn't take us an hour.
It took us an hour.
It did not take us an hour.
It
Calm
took
down.
us an hour. It took us an hour.
No, it did not.
Anyways,
we are going to start the movie now in about 5 seconds. So give us 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's begin. Alrighty, so
we start with some opening logos of Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures.
Rest in peace, Warner Brothers. That's a sin of its own. It's a Warner Brothers movie.
I was about to say, why are we celebrating or sharing
remorsing over it?
Yeah, remorsing. That's a word. I can't even. I lost the word I was using.
This is like the last Warner Brothers movie before Warner Brothers died. So I already want to point out, I hate this. Somewhere on Skull Island, that's horrible.
Just
and
go
how
with
is
Skull
there
Island.
leaf wings?
What do you mean? How is there leaf wings?
If the whole island is killed, like how does this work?
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of leaf wings. Oh,
watch this. The beard. This beard goes through time and space throughout the entirety of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was clipping at the shot earlier as well.
Like all it does here is clip. But
what a funny
another
monkey
issue with
scratching
this
his ass like Shrek.
Right. I was about to say another issue is this movie tries to be Shrek, which didn't the writers of this also do Shrek?
Yeah, Terry Ross. Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is just him reusing stuff he's already done. He did that with the original.
This is half of this is like the intro to Shrek.
Yeah, it literally all Rossio does in this movie is use his old scripts and like redo them.
Yeah, well, even see some elements of Godzilla '94 coming back.
We do. This shot right here, it's Kong with his tearing off the stuff for his tree spear.
Mm-hmm.
The tree does not look real. The tree looks really fake. So does his jaw when he yawns.
I think
there's a weird texture issue.
It looks fine mostly.
I can't.
Oh, those trees looked a little weird. Like the one interacting with his hand was a bit weird.
Yeah, throughout this movie, there will be a ton of stuff where I'm going to be like, "This is weirdly." It's interacting really weird right now.
I mean, that happens with every movie. To be fair, it's just
but it's really relevant in this one.
We're too familiar with this movie for our own good. I mean, you especially.
I was about to say I saw this like 12 times in the theater.
I've only seen it like 3, I think, 3 or 4.
This is like my 20th time since it came out.
Jesus Christ. You're a monster.
Also, what's with the fisheye on Gia throughout this entire
that looks weird.
It's
I
really
don't hate
weird.
it, but it looks kind of weird with the background.
Another sin is it's 236 and not 233. I hate the fact that they didn't hold up the references.
Was it 233 on the Monarch website? Or wasn't it just
No, it was
Outpost
33.
Okay.
It was Outpost 33.
Okay.
So this dude here in the glasses is clearly not on the same set as Rebecca Hall.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at his eyesight and like his acting, like, he's a wood. He's a stick. His acting is awful. And like here, when you look at him over the Rebecca's shoulder,
he's just
standing there. Even when Gia walks,
he turns because he's surprisingly not a mannequin.
It's like, and like here, like there's a weird zoom for no reason.
And then we got the opening credits.
I must give it credit here. The opening credits are actually pretty. These are the best that the MonsterVerse has had to offer yet.
Yeah, this was really exciting to see, particularly in 4DX. Like the bass and the music, the sensations from like the chairs moving and shaking and all that in 4DX. This was awesome.
Yeah, and like I like how it's blending both stuff from the movies with real life stock footage, with black and white stuff and color.
Yeah,
like I just love that aspect.
It's nice because it makes this universe seem more developed than it actually is.
Right, and like you had mentioned this once before, that this kind of made you feel like the whole universe like was culminating, and like this was a combination of all the movies.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it really isn't. It's 4 movies in, and like they're trying to make it seem like it's bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
Well,
there's what it's worth. It's kind of working. Oh,
this is true. Okay, now this is where it starts to fall apart. We have statistics in here that are incorrect, and like just causes more confusion.
Let's be honest. None of these statistics are ever like really right, because like heights change between shots in every one of these movies. I mean, even in like the Showa films, Ghidorah was supposed to be 100 meters, Gigan was 65, but clearly compared to the 50-meter Godzilla, they were not anywhere near that height, you know.
Right. And
Mothra
all of
went
this
from
here,
gigantic to tiny.
This is true. I hate the whole defeated thing, and I hate this bracket. The bracket makes it feel like a wrestling match. And the defeated thing, like, so Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, they're all dead? Like, what's the... Is that what it is? Like, did we just kill all of our kaiju off screen, and Kong and Godzilla are the last ones?
Apparently so. Except not according to the novelizations.
Yeah, but the novelizations also say Kong never left Skull Island, but King of the Monsters clearly showed him Skull Island. But here's something that we got to give it credit for.
Yeah.
Kaiju podcast representation.
Truly what modern audiences were waiting for to be represented.
Right? This is exactly what we do. We sit in our car with our 20-year-old laptop. We talk about conspiracy theories, and we're proven right.
Yeah.
That's totally what we do.
But we don't live in Florida because ill.
Yeah, that's a sin of its own. And then here we have more stock footage.
Yeah.
But like you said, you said this before, it's understandable there would be stock footage here.
Yeah. Damien Batura's Walter Simmons.
Or as I like to call him, my mecha. We'll talk about why I love that later.
I mean, I got my mecha the other day with the monster arts.
Yeah, I have plenty of mecha. The dude's mustache is a sin. Like,
which one?
What is that mustache?
The guy with glasses?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's like a Paul Blart Mall Cop wannabe.
Yo, Paul Blart in this movie? That's awesome. This was the crossover I've been waiting for.
Yeah, screw the title crossover.
I don't care about Kong. I mean, he's not even called King. King Kong. What the hell, man?
Due to copyright laws, he's not King Kong. Yes, and actually that's something I want to talk about while we wait for anything exciting to happen. So, even though this is technically a rematch, it also technically isn't. Because Kong and King Kong are two different characters.
Yeah, the legal rights are an absolute mess with King Kong,
with King Kong. Right, so this is technically not a rematch, which kind of disappoints the whole like hype. But
it's kind of funny because there's like a new collaboration in Godzilla Battle Line, and there's like an artwork in it that's for Godzilla vs Kong, and it's like King versus Kong.
That's hilarious. So, while technically, yes, it's the rematch that we've been wanting, it technically isn't because
it's the bootleg.
Kong and King Kong. It's the bootleg. It's the Imperial Hong Kong toy. And here we get Jaws, right? This is Jaws?
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, the fins look really cool here.
Yeah, they look really nice
but
here.
They also, yeah.
And the blue helps as well.
I don't like his mouth though. His mouth.
I don't like seeing his mouth that close.
Yeah,
like that's a good intro, except for the mouth.
And it does go back to Edwards' desire to do like a Jaws movie.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that boat there wasn't a reference to Jaws,
right?
Even looks like the boat from Jaws.
The orca, yeah. So here we have Sarazawa. Okay, I hate this. Look at how the lumbering. I hate this, and the lighting looks awful. And I will continuously complain about the animation here. So this is the first Godzilla. Ugh. He looks like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, the way he lumbers, it's just like it's almost like a cartoon.
Mm-hmm. And this is partly because this is the first movie where Godzilla was not portrayed by a human being whatsoever. There was no motion capture.
But here's the thing: motion capture data isn't. You still got to hand animate it all and adjust it. Depending on the movie, sometimes motion capture data can end up being not quite useless, but it doesn't really speed up the process very much because you still got to do a ton of hand animation. So part of me thinks it comes down to just direction as well.
Here's the orca, or I guess now it's the Mecha Godzilla eye.
Yeah.
It even has the sound of the orca.
Yeah, that's like the only hint that it is the orca because they cut out that plot line.
Yeah.
I hate this
shot.
I
hate this. All of this.
I like his neck looks shots of. I like the first two shots of him shooting the buildings with his atomic breath, but then when it's just there's no buildings in front of him and it's just the fire, it looks wrong. It just there's nothing.
No, I hate. Now this shot here, this was unfinished CGI.
Yeah,
and you can tell because the beam looks kind of cool here, and not just fiery blue flames. Also, why does Walter Simmons's accent change 3 times?
I don't know. Damien Butcher's just having fun.
He is. We got our
Australian schools here.
Do you go to this school?
No, but this looks like it just is designed like an Australian school.
Probably because it was filmed in Australia.
Correct, it was.
Also, what's with this lens?
I don't know.
Notice the lens,
I noticed that when I first watched it. I thought that was really weird with like the
blurred background.
Yeah,
it just doesn't line up.
Oh, Carl Chandler cameo.
Oh, yeah. And Millie Bobby Brown's standing like she's screaming at Ghidorah all the time. Dude, once you look at how she screams at Ghidorah and how she like talks and like everything else in this movie, it's all the same. Like her neck is like popping out, her head's veered up, her back slightly arched, and her arms go back. So cut your pop some slack, okay? God, the writing in this movie is awful.
I still wish we got more Carl Chandler, personally. Because I at least kind of enjoyed him.
And then you have the Titans Truth podcast.
No, is this where the Mothra pregnancy theory?
Yes, the Mothra pregnancy theory is in here.
Thank God I brought myself a drink.
Oh no, you have the Denham University.
Now we're in Philadelphia because this first act is just going everywhere.
Literally everywhere. And then we have
Nathan Lynn, played by Alexander Skarsgård. And what we should mention are reshoots.
These are reshoots?
Yeah, his entire introduction was reshot. Because, like, he was supposed to meet Serizawa, Simmons, and a cut character called Hayworth, who I will probably talk about a bit later, in a bar. Like, and we would have actually gotten acknowledgement of Serizawa's father in that scene.
Oh.
As some dialogue in a Japanese promotional video showed us.
Well,
haven't you seen that?
I think I have. I'm pretty sure I have.
Good. But what were you going to say?
So, like, in this bit here, it's basically said that he's a disgraced scientist, right? That people think he's crazy. So why is he still at the university? Because if Ghostbusters taught me anything, the moment that the university doesn't deem you worthy of like paying for, you're gone.
I don't know how it works. Really, I'll be honest.
This seems like a really weird place to have him at.
I mean,
the beauty of reshoots, right?
Yeah, the beauty of reshoots.
We hate reshoots. It's like re-recording. That's almost horrible.
I mean, I think Hayworth as well, who would have been played by Daniel Nelson, he was also supposed to appear on the rooftop.
But I bet they digitally removed him.
Maybe. I don't know exactly what happened, but he was supposed to appear there.
Or maybe he was already in the building. Or in the helicopter.
Maybe he was already in the helicopter. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, because we still have Lance Reddick in here for his one shot.
For all 6 seconds.
For all 6 seconds in his, like, top billing. Like, after your main characters.
That was definitely contractually obligated.
Yes, it was 100% contractually obligated. And then I know this is already shot because in a 2018 interview, he talks about how it was his girlfriend who was traveling, and the rubber band that he later on has, he got from her as like he proposed to her.
Hmm.
Can I say Heave is a stupid name?
I agree.
So this was at least rewritten twice, and now we're in Star Wars with the little Star Wars reference. You know, in the commentary, Wingard said that at this point, like, this is my Star Wars entry. Like, this is me saying, Disney, hire me for Star Wars. And honestly, with how stupid and, like, pointless and basic this movie is, I think he'd do a good Star Wars movie. At this point.
Okay, I do like that line. I love crazy ideas. They make me rich.
I mean, Walter Simmons, like, this
Damien
whole
Butcher
like
sells his character, honestly.
Yeah, like he's looking back and forth, like, I'm like Elon Musk.
Like, honestly, he's kind of the standout here. Strange, even though he's a terrible villain after this scene, but like,
he's not even a villain.
He's barely
like, he has no development to be a villain. There is no villain in this movie besides our
third character.
So, like, I have a hard time because Walter Simmons is the reason why they go on the journey. And, like, he doesn't lie. He doesn't deceive. Like, everything he says is true. He does nothing wrong in this movie.
And then we got the two other best actresses in the movie.
I never understood Gia's a okay character, but I never saw how she was like.
Characters are good. I just think they're good performances. I mean, Rebecca Hall isn't really at her best here.
Everybody's phoning this in.
Yeah, if you have you seen any other movies with Rebecca Hall?
No, but like I know of is it
The Night House?
Night House, yeah.
Yeah, you should watch The Night House and Resurrection with her. In Resurrection, she has like an 8-minute monologue, and it's incredible.
Oh. And I love how we're just supposed to like believe that these characters have a like history, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it definitely is not well executed whatsoever. Like, you can tell that there was supposed to be a romance, maybe, but
yeah, they have that here occasionally. There's things here that are just
specifically here. So awkward. Like, this whole thing is awkward.
So out of place.
Hashtag love plot go nowhere. Like, this is all like just dropped. And then at the end of the film here, they like to pretend like this whole discussion didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, they need a power source. They want to use Kong to find the power source. Like, this is what we were told was happening.
And now we're at another location again.
Yeah.
Because this first
I do love
all over the place.
It is. It's everywhere. I do love the use of Elvis because it's the king.
Mm-hmm. I like how
and this means
instead of Kong's theme being memorable, the most iconic thing about Kong's music in this film is just the fact that it's licensed.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I've listened to like this. I was listening to the soundtrack for Kong, like Kong's theme on the soundtrack the other day. Outside of the bit that's like about Gia, I could not tell you a single thing about what Kong's theme is supposed to be. Because it literally just sounds like all the other music in the film. At least like Godzilla and Mechagodzilla have some distinct instruments that make it clear when it's
Well,
meant
the
to be
Godzilla
them.
one's just a bootleg Ifukube.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't mention that earlier, actually.
I forgot. I was too busy complaining about everything else.
Okay, I do kind of like the coward gag.
Yeah. There's a few moments in here where it's well written, but
like that's a decent running joke. That has some nice payoffs.
I agree. I would agree with that.
You see, occasionally there can be well-written aspects in the movie. It's just very rare.
This sequence here always made me feel weird. Also, I love the fact that he felt the need to put on sunglasses before walking out here, even though he just came inside with no sunglasses. And may I just say, beyond the fact that she just said, my father sent me, her connection to her father is like nothing.
Yeah.
And like, we have no like feelings for her.
She's just a character that
She's a potential. She's like us, complaining about like the movie.
She's like you, except better looking. That lightning strike looked a bit weird there. You could tell that like the CG environment just ends.
See, power source. Kong leading us to power source. Like, what else do you expect is going to happen? I wish he would have said, if your heaves are as good as your hose. Like, that sounds so stupid, but it would fit perfectly.
Oh. We're leading to our trailer lines.
I hate the writing here. The acting here is so dry with these lines.
Yeah. Rebecca's balls delivery here is really weird.
Kong bows to no one. Dramatic turnaround for like no reason. I like this part. I think this is cool how Gia can like feel the vibrations.
I mean, big monster.
Yeah.
The vibrations are going to be noticeable.
They're going to be big.
Yes.
So why does Kong get upset here?
I don't know. He just does because we got to have scene.
I love how he like strikes a pose here. Like, oh, Kong knows how to make people like poses. He's like posing his muscles.
He's a gym bro.
He is a gym bro. Look at him. He definitely lifts, bro. So while this is admittedly a good scene. This here is pretty nice. So I got to see this movie like 10 times in theaters. Most of the time I was just watching different formats. Did you get to see this multiple times?
I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it the first time in 40X and then the second time in just a regular screening.
Gotcha.
But my regular screening, the second one kind of sucked because they were just like teenagers in the back, and they specifically during this entire second half of the movie, they just wouldn't shut up. Mm-hmm. It was very annoying.
Yeah, see, I never had that problem. I just watched the movie like too many times. Like I felt like I could recite the movie by the
I'm sure you can.
Last time. I probably can. I can tell you one thing. I can tell you what Wingard talks about during his commentary in each of these scenes.
This is a cool reveal. I actually really like this reveal.
I got chills when he did the sign language for home. That was really like, whoa.
Like, that's a new aspect for Kong, but I do think it works for the character.
Especially, I hate the fact she's like, the monkey. The monkey just talked. He's a monkey. So here we have...
Oh, no.
Our Mothra pregnancy theory.
God damn it. That had to be Doherty.
That had to be. So, real quick, I want to pause and talk about something specifically with Millie Bobby Brown's character.
We haven't paused for a while.
Yeah, we haven't.
I'm surprised.
So, what is her reason to be here? Not like the technical reason, but like in the story.
Because she's passionate for Godzilla. That's why, obviously.
But she does nothing to impact the story.
I mean, it's the people around her who do things.
Everything impactful happens.
I mean, frankly, her
people.
That's one of my issues with her plot, is that the whole discovering Mechagodzilla storyline, like, that works well on a first viewing. But like, I feel they don't do enough for it to really feel all that impactly on repeat viewings. That's my issue with it. They do a little bit at the very end, like with the whiskey.
But she doesn't do that.
Yeah, she's not the one who does it. I mean, it's probably a good thing that she's not the one who does it, because otherwise her friend would literally be a pointless character. But, still.
Like, so Millie Bobby Brown in this movie has, like, nothing. There's no reason for why she is the way she is. Besides, oh, Godzilla wouldn't be doing this to us. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that aggravates me. Because, like... How are you going to have the main character of your last, well, not the main character, but one of your main characters from the last movie in this one, and all she does is just stand and stare?
Yeah. And from what I can tell, there was going to be more on, like, presumably there would have been an arc of her, like, or at least some sort of element of her having to deal with the death of her mother, and her mother being seen, rightfully so, as a supervillain across the world, essentially. And
she's going to be bullied and whatnot.
And cutscenes that we'll probably never see.
Unless they do hashtag release the Wingard cut, which there is no Wingard cut because this is the cut Wingard wanted.
God, I would genuinely like a test screening cut to be leaked. I genuinely want that to happen.
Right, because, like, up to this point, so we are 30 seconds away from being 30 minutes into this hour, and how long? How long is this
50...
movie?
It's not telling me. God damn it. It's like an hour and 50. It's like an hour 47, hour 50-ish, something like that.
Okay. So we are about a quarter of the way through this movie. And up until this point, this is what we've been told. Bernie is a conspiracy theorist who wants to find out what Apex is doing. Nowhere in this movie do we really villainize Apex.
Yeah, the only it's like it kind of just
they're making a replacement for Godzilla, which is the villainous thing.
Yeah, like it just the movie automatically kind of just assumes you're gonna take them as villainy, and like I get why it does that. I get why obviously they'd be villains, evil corporation, building a Mechagodzilla in secret, a bit sus, etc., etc. But it forgets the fact that, like, Godzilla very well poses a threat to humanity in his own right. Perhaps not the Earth itself, but him as well as the other Titans. I mean, it's not like the Mutos would have been good for humanity. Like, even if you look at Mechagodzilla as not just something to fight Godzilla, but something to fight the other Titans, Like, having a Mechagodzilla is a pretty good defense against an invasion of Mutos if they ever came back, since there is still one remaining. Or maybe not.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like, so Apex isn't really built up. Like you said, they're led to us assuming stuff. So I mean, Bernie doesn't.
It kind of it works enough where if you're just following along the movie, you'll get it. But like, it doesn't work well enough where it feels truly justified, and thus the defeat doesn't really feel satisfying when they get their comeuppance. And that's what I take issue with more.
Right, and like, so okay.
I mean, Damien Bichir wasn't even meant to be the villain. I mean, he's one of the villains, but he wasn't meant to be like the primary one. Like Serizawa was supposed to be a more prevalent antagonistic force, but that's all cut out, so he just dies.
Right, and when you watch it, like, they kind of flip it. They clearly intend on Walter Simmons in this cut to be the main villain, because he's like, I don't care if we're going to overload the power.
Yeah.
I want this to succeed. Yeah. So he's careless. But if it wasn't for Walter Simmons, we wouldn't have found Kong a new home. We wouldn't have found all of this other stuff, because Walter Simmons was the one that wanted to do that.
I mean, the only one of the only bad things that Apex legitimately does that makes them actually feel like villains is, when they try to shoot Skarsgård and Gia and Rebecca Hall.
And like, that's it. Like, Simmons' daughter,
just before the climax,
because Simmons' daughter, I mean, she's an a-hole.
She's portrayed inconsistently too, because like that scene earlier of her showing concern for Gia, sort of like, I don't know.
It's typically,
it'd be showing a different side to these characters, but here it's just it's inconsistent writing. Probably something that the movie had intentions for it to go one way originally, and then months later they rewrote a couple scenes and like, oh, we'll change this, we'll change that.
I mean, it could have been a thing where like she was interested in Gia because of her connection to Kong. So like, she was concerned because she saw.
I don't know. I think it's just inconsistent writing.
That is true. And then you've got Dr. Lind, who, right? That's his name, Lind?
Yeah, Nathan Lind.
who just is like he's like a disc. He feels like a Chris Pratt in this movie.
Yeah.
Like
I don't see why he needs. I don't see why we can't just merge his character with Rebecca Hall. Honestly,
he's kind of just there. Like
he really is.
I could see why we would want him, but I feel like you could streamline the story. I mean, honestly, I think you take out like 4 of these characters and you're good because there's no reason for them to exist.
Oh yeah, no, there's no reason for the cast to have as many people as there is.
And it's like we have jumped around so much. You know, we started in Florida, or we started in Skull Island, then we went to Florida, then we went to
we
Pennsylvania.
could cut out a lot of that jumping around if we merged a couple characters here and there.
And just streamline the plot so far.
And I mean, like, I don't see where the issue is, because that's clearly been the intent with, the final cut of the movie, with all the reshoots. It was seemingly to streamline the movie completely to be more palatable.
But to me, it just comes across as lazy. And that's throughout this film. I wouldn't call it lazy,
I'd call it messy. And just, I don't want to say pedestrian, but just like it's trying to get the lowest common denominator. There are definitely instances of lazy writing, though, and I'm sure we'll get more into them.
Right. So I just wanted to stop and like address like right at this current situation, the story has been Kong needs a home. We're going to use Kong to find energy and his new home. And Godzilla doesn't like something Apex is doing. So
I mean, it's tight enough where it's still it's a watchable movie. Like clearly, given the audience reception, it just works enough for the audience to get what's going on, to have a decent enough understanding of character motivations and all that, and just lay back and enjoy the ride. But when you really comb through the fine details, it's like, this is a very messy script.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and keep going, and we'll keep talking about this. We'll keep going.
We'll keep complaining. Keep being pedantic.
Oh, I paused it perfectly because now we're being introduced to our next random character.
Next character who's almost pointless.
So I want to know why Josh has this Australian British accent.
It's New Zealand.
Is it New Zealand?
Yes, it's a Kiwi accent because the actor is Kiwi. He starred in a lot of New Zealand movies with like.
Gotcha.
There's one he starred in with Sam Neill called Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, okay. This is a great piece of music.
Yeah, I do like this synth track. Even
though this is not by Thomas Hulkenberg. This is taken from a group called like Glow and Vanity Set. That's the original composer that Wingard wanted.
Really?
But because of scheduling, they couldn't get him, so they licensed one of his songs. And it just so happens to be the best synth song in this entire movie. And honestly, this whole bit here is just hard to like. It's hard to just take it in. It's like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying right now? Do you know what you're saying?
Conspiracy theory guy, but still. Oh, I've been to this location.
So What is this location?
It's in Chinatown in Fortitude Valley. I ended up going here once. It's just like a Chinese shop for food and stuff. Around this area as well, they also filmed a Jackie Chan movie once.
They filmed what?
One of Jackie Chan's police story movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I have no clue what you said.
The writing here is awful.
I hate.
Oh yeah, I know that guy. Like this whole thing dated it horribly.
Yeah, it dates the movie so bad. Because wasn't this filmed back in like 2019?
2018, 2019. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that would have been around the time of like Tripod.
My name is Madison Russell. My mother killed half the universe. Oh, sorry, I got her confused with Thanos. Same idea. Tap or no tap is a question I will ask people for the rest of my life.
Yeah, this is definitely a favorite movie.
Now, I love the lighting here, but it doesn't stay. It goes away very fast. Yes, it's not digital lighting. Digital neon lighting looks horrible.
I've heard that the next film, Godzilla and Kong, is supposedly supposed to have some more neon lighting.
That's what I've heard too. So now we're getting some development for a character that we'll never see any more development for.
I remember because I'd heard that prior to the film came out, I'd heard about like Mechagodzilla's defeat, and I heard about the alcohol, and I was like, when this scene showed up, I'm like, no, it's true. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but like, such a stupid idea to hear.
Yeah.
And it's only there to make their plot seem somewhat
hey, we're like doing another right, we're doing another location change.
Yep, back
and to now we have that's a lot of fish.
That is a lot of fish. Funny monkey smell.
So now we've been introduced to our entire crew cast.
Yeah, finally.
So 30 minutes in, we now know all of our main characters, and most of them don't matter.
Yep. These things happen.
And to be honest, while watching this, I kind of forgot how this, after your main characters are introduced and it's kind of set up, you almost like have nothing to do until Godzilla gets here, because there's just a lot of like waiting for things to show up.
I do like having this element for Nathan not being over his brother's death, but it's just so underdeveloped. Surely she would have been watching Gia close enough to have seen her and Kong sign languaging each other.
Yeah, like that is another thing. It's like
hide him moving around. I mean, he's bigger than the trees on a lot of the trees on Skull Island, clearly, and they had cameras, so
yeah. So like, how does that happen? Was it only at night when the cameras were turned off?
I don't think they'd let Gia in a jungle at night.
Well, they didn't watch her when she walked out on the boat.
True, but still. I feel like they'd have a bit better security at a Monarch base.
Apparently Skull not. Island. I feel like they'd have more security on the boat. Tinier location, easier to die in. This is pretty cool. But did Godzilla roar under the ocean? Like, what is he doing?
We're getting to the line.
It was the line. The world needs Kong.
The world needs him.
You know, in 2014, when they had scenes like this, there was a lot more feeling of dread. Because they didn't let you know what was happening.
I mean, the lighting, too, was also a lot more cold.
A little more dynamic.
The lighting in there was too warm to really have any dread.
Mm-hmm. Dump the monkey! It's like, dude, what are you even doing?
Funny, admittedly.
Dump the monkey? That's what my ex-girlfriend said to her new boyfriend.
And here we go. Godzilla.
So in the trailer, music from 2001: A Space Odyssey played here, but then they cut it.
Yeah.
Oh God, here we go. Okay, this is pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool.
This all here is pretty decent. Like there is some nice build up here.
But it's I like seeing them attack Godzilla. And Godzilla destroying them with his tail. That's cool.
It's been a long time since the military has shot at Godzilla like this.
Yeah. We didn't really get enough of this in 2014.
Right. But then we get stuff like this, where it's like the anchor and the boat. Clear Jaws reference. Like, this is clearly a Jaws reference. For when Brody hits the shark with the buoy. But what was that roar?
I don't know.
And what's the point of them doing this?
I don't know.
Going in the room.
Meant to make the scene more claustrophobic, but I find that just weird.
Like, everybody in the boat survives.
Yeah.
That we see.
I mean, it's a PG-13 movie. We can't have too many people dying brutally. Only the monsters.
This always, I thought, was weird.
Godzilla getting injured, like, severely. Like, it was a bit weird when he acknowledged the plane a bit, but, like, I can forgive that.
Like, this here where he's, like, jumping around, it's like, what is he doing?
Yeah. I don't think he... Does he even destroy any of them?
No. He just goes underwater, then goes for Kong, and it's like, then why were you up? Like, wouldn't you be, like, swimming around Kong and not hanging out on the top of the ocean? I hate the animation here.
Yeah.
Godzilla in this... Oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate his... Okay, Godzilla looks like a dinosaur. Like a legitimate,
I hate how much he acts like a crocodile. Like a dumb crocodile.
Yes. He's acting like a crocodile. That's an insult to
crocodiles, because crocodiles are actually can be pretty smart.
They can be.
Like this,
and like
straight up, Godzilla doesn't act like Godzilla in this movie.
No, he acts like a mindless brute that like is clumsy.
I mean, the other movie is clearly established in the monsters. Godzilla ain't a mindless brute.
Exactly. He's very intelligent and has on multiple occasions like tried to figure out what to do and like accomplish it. But
yeah. And he knows how to fight.
Right.
Whereas in this movie, I never feel like Godzilla actually knows how to fight.
No, it is.
And that's
really
part of why I don't really like the fights in this movie.
No, throughout this whole movie, and I felt this on my first watch, I was like, this is the most American Godzilla I've ever seen.
It really is.
Like, Godzilla in this movie seems like a bumbling fool who causes damage on accident and on purpose.
I mean, just the way he lumbers in his first scene.
Like, it just feels like an American monster movie.
Yeah. And then we got the trailer scene.
I hate this. Because it's very crocodilian.
Yeah.
Though I do think it's funny how Kong like puts in all of his effort and like
and Godzilla just slaps him. I love the slap. I think that's good. But then Godzilla just keeps trying to use his beam.
I hate Godzilla's animation still. Like throughout this whole movie, his shoulders feel like they're like the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles.
Mm.
Die Hard moment. Here we go with Kong jumping off the boat.
Admittedly, it's a pretty funny frame.
It is a funny frame. I used it in a meme once.
A lot of people did. Yeah, and this is such like the way this fight ends just feels like an anticlimax. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't hate it too much because, like, yeah, it's the first fight.
Yes, because depth charges worked before.
Yes.
For context, they just said use depth charges to save him. And wouldn't this just hurt Kong more?
Yeah. I feel like this would hurt Kong more than Godzilla.
Because Kong's already out of his element and he's drowning. Like, it doesn't make sense. How would Godzilla be the one to lose out of this? But I will say this though, it's clear Godzilla was the winner in this first fight.
It's clear he was what?
The winner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Kong loses twice in this movie.
I say Kong loses 3 times.
Okay, once this scene ends, can we pause quickly?
Yeah, you can pause whenever you want, man.
Because I just need to do something.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kong's heartbeat should be loud enough to for Godzilla to hear, right?
I mean, Godzilla and Kong stare down each other. I don't understand how Godzilla apparently can't realize he's still alive.
See, and that's just more to this weird ending, just because you shut everything off, Godzilla still has eyesight. Clearly, Godzilla has seen stuff. Like, he sneaks up on the
he's very clearly staring at Kong. Yeah. He's a bit of a distance away, and he's got small eyes, but still.
Any shot with Legendary in the front looks horrible. Any Legendary Godzilla shot where it's his front face is horrible. I cannot stand it. And Godzilla just goes away. You can hit play whenever.
All right, where were we even? We're at,
So we just finished the Godzilla fight.
Okay. Yeah, Godzilla's easy reckons.
So, like I was saying, I am of the opinion that Godzilla wins all three of these fights.
I mean, from what I recall, Kong debatably, what could be debatably considered the second round is meant to be Kong's win.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
I'd argue it's only 2 rounds in the entire film. I'd argue that
the beginning and the end.
Second round is like just like extended. A lazy excuse at like giving Kong a half win.
I agree wholeheartedly. So why is there nobody guarding the Apex facility?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
There would be someone there.
I hate the kid's accent. Like a gun.
What, you don't like Kiwis? What are you, racist?
I don't like how inconsistent it is. Every accent in this movie is inconsistent.
Half this cast is like Rebecca Hall and Millie Bobby Brown are putting on fake American accents. You can tell at multiple points with Rebecca Hall that she's not using her actual voice.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Millie Bobby Brown does have a reason to be in this movie. She opens up the portal
to opens the land elevator.
Again,
you can just see Millie Bobby Brown just like being like, I'm really in this movie, aren't I?
Yeah, she rolls like it's clear. She's like, really?
This was a script. I could be working on like Stranger Things or something.
Again, with the conspiracy theories, none of this is actually proven, too.
None of this is relevant.
And then they just so happen to go into here. Like, you would think they would double check and make sure everything fits and, like, is secure, right?
Yeah, you'd think, like, a guy would, before they lock it, you'd think someone would go and check. But, you know. Why even Apex, like, collecting a ton of Skullcrawler eggs? Like, I get they want to breed them to test for Mechagodzilla, right? But just why do they need so many?
That's a good question. And where are they getting them from? Like, do they have their own, like, Skullcrawler breeding ground?
Presumably.
They're like Okja, they have their own genetically engineered Skullcrawlers.
I mean, maybe that's why the one is red.
I feel like I've heard that theory before.
I don't know. I've never had. I don't spend a lot of time with the fan theories.
And then here we have...
It's just like the original.
I will say, I kind of like this. I was like, really? Is this what we doing now?
Mm.
Oh, this is what we doing now.
Showed in the trailer.
I didn't see it in the trailer. I avoided that.
Oh, they showed it in like a TV spot or something, I think.
I see.
They showed the goddamn end of the Hong Kong fight in that.
We need to address... Okay, I'm going to talk about this first. In this movie, they go to Antarctica. They had already went to Antarctica in the previous film. The reason Michael Dougherty chose the Antarctic is because Godzilla had never been there. And he said, we need more movies where Godzilla goes different places. Going to the same place is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, in the following movie, they go back to the same place that he went to avoid going to the same places. Like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
When Dougherty also said that movies, Godzilla movies, are supposed to have thematic elements in them about political, economical.
This movie totally has thematic elements. Outside of like, I don't know, like a very vague family theme, maybe.
That and nature will always triumph over technology.
The way it's presented in this movie, it's like, does it even count as a theme at that point?
It's like the traditional, like, if Mechagodzilla's in it, you can take that out from it.
Mm.
Oh, here's Kong's theme.
No, that's Gia's theme.
What's the difference?
Kong's theme is licensed music, bro. And generic music.
That's all this movie is licensed and generic music.
All this movie is a generic movie with licensed characters.
This is true. Can we address the obvious feeling that this is just King Kong Escapes but glorified?
Yeah.
Walter Simmons dresses like Doctor Who. The whole plot of King Kong Escapes is our mech can't be powered unless we get this special element from the Earth's core. So let's take Kong from his island to that his people have been murdered and killed. There's nobody left.
Yeah.
So let's take Kong to the Arctic to dig for this element and then use that element to power our mech, and then Kong has to fight the mech. It's
but here's the thing.
Literally...
King Kong Escapes is better. Because it's funnier. Yes. Toho Kong's the best Kong.
I don't know. I hope so. But I don't know. But I just... If you want to watch a better movie that's kaiju, you might just want to watch King Kong Escapes. I feel like that's a little less disrespectful to the genre.
Or, even better, if you want to watch a better Godzilla vs. Kong movie, there's this lovely little film from 1962 called King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Never heard of it.
That's a shame. You should watch it.
I'll have to look into it.
Also, damn, those
and
heaves
now we're
in
the only practical set.
I was about to say, those heaves looked practical in that shot.
The one thing built for the movie.
I mean, they had the skullcrawler eggs as well.
This is true. I guess they had almost the same amount of practical effects in this movie as they did King of the Monsters. Except they didn't cut the practical effects from this movie. Surprisingly, they cut everything else, though.
Yeah, they just cut the plot instead.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're getting to the epilepsy scene.
Or, as I like to call it, the friendly reminder that Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey still exists.
Hmm.
I love how Monarch has their own label on their bottles of water.
Yeah.
And how is Monarch still involved at this point? To have bottles of water on the heave?
I don't know. They're like, I guess they're like backing the mission or something. Although you'd think
With
on the heave, the water bottle would be like Apex logos.
Yeah. Oh, welcome back to the world of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I hate this scene. It's literally just meant to be. Yeah. It's like, what is this?
Like, I'm totally fine with going to the Hollow Earth. I mean, clearly, they've had this idea since Kong Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there briefly in King of the Monsters. But having a literal portal, like, or whatever, that's a bit much on the sci-fi element. A bit too sci-fi for me. Like, this universe started with Godzilla 2014.
Right. And that's the big thing is when you look at this movie, like we are watching Kong invert in gravity right now.
Like, don't get me wrong, King of the Monsters was already pushing the boundaries a fair bit, and having Mechagodzilla as well, you know, pushing the boundaries of the gritty universe we started with. But I don't know. I feel like a portal in the Hollow Earth is that almost feels like going a bit too far for me. Maybe I'm a hypocrite, but I don't know.
No, because the portal and then like the sequence where Godzilla and Kong were on the boat, which we surprisingly ignored.
Yeah.
Both of those I think are good examples of like, how does this exist? Like, this doesn't feel right. Heck, even the heave vehicles to me almost feel a little too sci-fi.
I wouldn't mind it as much if they didn't have like those like the particle effects that are coming off it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think those are kind of the only issue I take with the heaves, because I mean they're not really any worse inherently than the Argo jet was.
I would agree. It's the particles that kind of do it.
Yeah.
Now, like, I love the Hollow Earth. I think this is kind of nice, even though it kind of contradicts what King of the Monsters had.
Yeah.
It's a nice change. And it really and honestly does look like Skull Island, just bigger.
Mm. I mean, even then, there'd be different. As we see in this, there are clearly different environments in the Hollow Earth, too.
Right. But this is one of my biggest issues. It took them like a solid few minutes to even find a single creature besides Leafwings.
Mm.
So why is there only Warbats and Leafwings?
I mean, there's other creatures in the place, clearly, given like the what you call it, the rock crabs and Doug and all them.
Yeah, but that's only 4, and this is a whole new universe. I mean, and like in Skull Island,
the Shimida thing got cut out of the movie too.
Which one?
The Shimida, the one that's like there's concept art for it and storyboards. It's like a worm creature in the ground, sort of like the thing from Empire Strikes Back.
Gotcha. I don't think I've seen that one.
You have seen it. You probably just don't remember it.
Like most of the things with this movie.
I do like
get ready. We're going to see.
Is.
Yeah. Watch Kong's beard is just clipping everywhere.
Yeah. I do appreciate that brutality, though. Damn, they just used the Godzilla footsteps down there.
Though I will say one thing about the Hollow Earth in that part, it did look all just kind of, I don't know, there was an element that looked a little fake, but it was kind of a nice fake. Yeah. I will say that.
It's a whole CG environment. I think the Hollow Earth looks nice.
Mm-hmm. It's like miniature sets. Mm-hmm. It looks fake, but it's got a nice fake look.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that, like, I think more or less everyone agreed that the one thing we want to see more out of the Monsterverse is the Hollow Earth. Like, if this series has to continue, then let's go here more. And we will be in Godzilla and Kong.
The battle for Earth. This part I find kind of interesting to watch. Because this is a, like, Planet of the Apes almost, like...
I do like getting these moments with Kong just like observing the place, exploring, and just finding out how the thing works.
And the reference here of Adam touching God's hand is really cool.
Yeah. Like, this is a nice moment.
Because, you know, for what little symbolism there is in this movie, I think Kong gets all of those symbolic and, like...
Kong gets some great beats in this movie, which is why it's just really disappointing that there's genuinely good elements in this movie.
It's clear that Wingard was supposed to direct a Kong movie.
Yeah, it's clear he wants to. It really shows that. I think Wingard could do a good Kong movie, a good solo Kong movie.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope he gets better writers.
That and because here's the biggest issue I have with this film in a nutshell. This is a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
Godzilla gets top billing. This is a Godzilla movie. This does not feel like a Godzilla movie.
No,
there are elements.
He's sidelined at this point. Like, he's completely sidelined. Mm-hmm. Like,
even
the
Godzilla Team
plot
Godzilla
has nothing to do with Godzilla. They're involved with Mechagodzilla.
Correct. Like, at this point, they're not even proving Godzilla's innocent. They're too busy trying to figure out what Apex is doing.
Yeah.
Also, may I add, I have a hard time believing there's a base this large in a mountain. Do you know how large this would have to be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is just one part of the facility. And then you got the Skullcrawler pens, too, all around it, too. Mm-hmm.
And the hole underneath where Mechagodzilla is.
Oh, God, yeah, that too.
And underneath, there's a whole section where they've been building Mechagodzilla. It's like... This feels like there's no way this...
I mean, to be fair, obviously they were building separate parts at different facilities.
Right. But if there's enough space underneath
the skull. The Ghidorah skull.
Okay. So now I can pick apart this Mechagodzilla. Jared did an amazing Ready Player One design. I love the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
This one looks absolutely awful. This is probably my second least favorite design for Mechagodzilla. Like, I hate how boxy he is. It's not like the cool retro robot boxy. This is like...
I'm just going to pause.
Okay. This is like... He's got the claw hands, which I hate. His arms are so blocky.
I'll agree I don't like how blocky they are, but I do like giving him large arms and like the weird claw. I'm not huge on like the like shape of the claws, but I do like the idea of it. I think it's an interesting new idea, and it does help separate him from just looking like Godzilla 2014 with robots with metal over the top of it, you know? Which is something I wish more of the design did, particularly in the head. Like, where's the head crest?
Mm-hmm. I miss like, the head crest. And the head looks weird. I drive a Nissan Maxima. I'm going to be honest. The head looks like the back of a Nissan Maxima.
Yeah, I find the teeth a little weird. No matter what, they just look like Grammy's guns. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and this feels like a Mechagodzilla that shouldn't have a plasma beam. That's what it is, right?
I think in this movie it's called like Proton Scream or something.
Proton Scream, yeah.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. This Mechagodzilla specifically doesn't feel like it should have something like that.
I will say this Mechagodzilla actually has a similar issue that you mentioned with you mentioned how Legendary has like a pretty poor front profile.
Frontal profile, yes.
Yeah, I think Mechagodzilla here has a similar issue.
I agree.
Particularly dead on in the front. Like, when his head's tilted down, it looks a bit better. But when he's just looking straight at you, like...
He's dorky.
He's too boxy for it, you know? Like, there's elements of this design that I do like. I like the feet. I like... The tail is fine. I'm not a big fan of
the tail, I think, works.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of how boxy the legs and arms are, as you mentioned earlier.
I do like the reference to the spines being like Mecha King Ghidorah.
Ah, yeah.
No, in our interview, Jared specifically said he took inspiration from Mecha King Ghidorah for those.
I feel like I might have just been confusing that, but I could have sworn there was something else that he mentioned was inspired by Kiryu. I don't know if it was in that interview or if it was somewhere else, but I don't know.
Was it his jets?
It might have been. I'm not. I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember. It's been like a year or two since I heard this.
Mm-hmm. But like, it. My biggest problem is it looks like a Michael Bay Transformer.
You see,
it looks like a Michael Bay Transformer, and it feels like a Michael Bay Transformer with how blocky and everything. It doesn't feel like Mechagodzilla.
You see, I feel like on its own, the design doesn't really look like a... I can definitely see elements of that. I think it's just kind of got that American Hollywood look, but like compared to something like the 2017 Power Rangers Megazords, those I think are a lot more egregious with that Michael Bay Transformers look. Whereas this, I think it's clearly going for Mechagodzilla, and I feel it's not trying to be Michael Bay's Transformer, like compared to some of the other concept designs as well. Like, I'd argue this is probably out of the ones we've seen, this is probably the best one, or like at worst, like second best. You know.
I desperately wish they would have done the Mechagodzilla from Ready Player One. I felt like that looked more true to the character.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, I get why they didn't use it, obviously, because this one, Legendary RPO Mechagodzilla is still. He definitely takes inspiration from 2014, but like, it's very clearly.
If you look at the fins,
from, like, yeah, it's very clearly derived from more from the transforming Mechagodzilla, that Ori.
The Ori poster, yeah.
Yeah.
But like when you look at Jared's artwork for it, the fins are clearly 2014 for Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And like the feet, if you look at the Ready Player One and the Mechagodzilla from GVK, they both have similar feet. Like the legs are kind of similar.
Yeah, I think I
one of my
favorite like the 2021 feet a bit more, honestly,
because they're less dinosaur.
Yeah,
I agree with that one. But one thing, I think this is what it comes down to. Ready Player One Mechagodzilla does not feel over-designed. Yeah. There's plenty of metal plating over him that makes him look like he's got detail. Like, to say he doesn't have detail is stupid, but he clearly isn't overdone. Now, there's like the hands, sure, those needed to be adjusted so it would look more ferocious, and like the head should be a little bigger. But it feels and looks right. Ready Player One Mechagodzilla, on the other hand, or not Ready Player One, GVK Mechagodzilla feels and looks over-designed to me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have the plating. It's all it's that's why I feel like it's like the Michael Bay Transformers, because it is so over-designed. It's hard to keep track
with a lot of
it.
the Mechagodzilla designs that they did for this movie is that a lot of them either look over-designed or under-designed. None of them really strike that balance.
And if you look at like Kiryu, Mechagodzilla 2, or 74-75, none of them are over-designed.
I mean, Mechagodzilla 2 arguably is a bit under-designed, but like it still works well enough for its film.
Correct. Whereas this one, like, it feels like there's something moving in every part. And to that point, I will say at least it's detailed. At least they did something to like add.
Oh, it's clear a lot of effort went in. It's clear that Jared put in a lot of effort here. I mean, I wish Mechagodzilla had a bit more of an arsenal here, because this feels like it's more outside of the gimmick with the hands that I think is pretty cool. I feel he's a bit like underarmed almost in this film, at least. I mean, they cut out they didn't show him using his chest rockets, I don't believe.
They did not, no.
Yeah, but I would have preferred even like the shoulder missiles being a little bit bigger.
Yeah, for how big and clunky he is, it definitely didn't translate. I think I'm looking at a almost like a 1-to-1 Mechagodzilla design right now for like what Godzilla would look like, and I think it's like a blend between Ready Player One and like the 2021 one. I'm gonna send you a photo real quick so you can see it. Like, it's clear they thought about doing like a combination, like a combination
the face almost
of
reminds
like
me of Godzilla Earth.
a little bit. But like this, I think is a decent design. I think it looks a little bit better. I don't like how Mechagodzilla doesn't look like Godzilla for the most part.
I'm gonna be honest. I think I like the final design more than that image.
I mean, I can't determine which one.
I think it's too close to Godzilla. That's my issue, actually. Because I think Mechagodzilla should always clearly resemble Godzilla in the silhouette, but I think he should also be clearly distinct from Godzilla. which is where I find some parts of this design succeed in that. Other parts I feel are too close. I think the head doesn't do enough. I feel adding a fin. I don't know if a fin. I don't know. I feel like you could add a little fin there. You probably can't add like a too big of one, but I feel just like adding a fin there would give Mechagodzilla a lot of the personality that a lot of the other designs have.
Yeah,
because
I would agree with that.
Because there's just Mechagodzilla in this movie, like, you know, it definitely works enough for people that there's a lot of people who do really like this design, you know. So obviously there's something that works here, I'd say. Whether or not we like it as Mechagodzilla, there is something that works here for a lot of people. For me, I think it captures something. I don't think it captures Mechagodzilla. I do think it captures...
no, it doesn't.
I think it captures a cool, giant, robotic Godzilla. But I just don't think it captures Mechagodzilla.
It captures that's a robot Godzilla. That's what it is.
It's funny how Singular Point's Mechagodzilla is the one that's called Robo Godzilla.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
But yeah, I do like the tail having like the drill bit as well. That's cool.
The drill's pretty cool. I think it's cool that they added. It's not seen, but they have chainsaws at the end of the hands. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, they are seen in the movie. There's a couple shots where you can see them, like when Mechagodzilla's absolutely hammering the big G. You can see them in a couple close-ups.
But to me, it feel in like the body's too tiny for how big everything else is. The body is way too tiny.
Yeah.
Now, like, if you redesigned it and streamlined it and like made it more anime, I think it would look good. But you have to. There needs to be a few more drafts of like what I personally think is making it more anime. I am a person who is in love with the idea that Mechagodzilla looks anime.
I mean, frankly, I think that would fit Mechagodzilla, because I think the issue is that he does look too Americanized.
And Mecha is inherently a like.
That's
Japanese,
inherently a Japanese like idea, you know.
My mecha. You are not a mecha. Like, actually, technically, he's not a mecha.
He's a robot.
He's a mech. No, he's a mech. If we're being technical here, because a mecha, the pilots are inside.
I mean, to be fair, he is technically piloted in this movie.
But not from the inside. Because if I remember correctly, a mech is somebody...
the first Mechagodzilla was not piloted on the inside.
Was he not?
No.
I thought his control was in the head.
Well, yeah, they had a control, like an AI controlling it, I suppose. Like the not Exilians, sorry. The black hole, whatever.
Black hole aliens.
Yeah, they were controlling it from like their own. They were controlling it from their own base. Yeah, I will say I have warmed up to this design more, like especially after getting the Monsteros figure. I'll admit, the Monsteros figure is pretty cool. It's underpainted, but it is pretty cool.
But that's just Monsteros for you.
That is true. I do like some of how they changed some of the designs, except for the Kong. The Kong looks a little weird.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like this Mechagodzilla. He looks, again, it goes back to This is the most American Godzilla movie I've ever watched. Like, I will put this above 98.
Agree with you there. I 98. I feel 98. I feel
98's close.
It is the most. It is the most 1990. It's the most late 90s Godzilla
adaptation.
Movie.
I would say 98's the worst adaptation, but I think GVK is the most American.
It's definitely the most. Yeah, it's Godzilla and Mechagodzilla even are portrayed as them. Yeah, I'm just repeating what you're saying at this point.
It just, I don't know.
There's no point in me finishing that thought.
And a lot of people will hate me for that statement. I've been in a lot of arguments about. My whole.
Like, here's the thing. Clearly, there is, again, there's elements here that definitely work for an audience. This design worked for a mainstream audience, clearly. But for someone like you and me who, I'd say you and I both pretty much adore, like, the original 74, 75 Mechagodzilla as well as Kiryu. I quite like the Heisei one. I
think every Mechagodzilla has something good about it up until 2018 with no. Like, that one and this one are the two that I honestly just can't. I do think behind.
This is a better Mechagodzilla design than that, because that.
Yes,
I don't hate that design.
That's the worst.
That's just not
That's a pile of scrap.
Yeah, that is the actual Michael Bay Transformer. That's the Megatron.
That's the definition of over-designed.
Oh, absolutely.
But
because this at least still has the silhouette of Godzilla in it.
Yes, and you were accurate in your statement of how you thought. I think you and I are just more acclimated to the Japanese style, and when it comes down to it,
that's our bias.
The thing we like about Godzilla and Kaiju and Tokusatsu is the fact that it is Japanese. Mm-hmm. Inherently, there is a different style in Japanese content than you will find in American content. That is why there are plenty of people, and speaking included in this, will defend Japanese content and make the statement it is superior to anything found in America productions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's not to say it's always that, because there are plenty of amazing American movies.
Oh, absolutely.
But just generally speaking, I will sit here and praise. Let's see, this came out in 2021. What's another 2021 kaiju movie? That was...
Shoot, I mean, Godzilla Singular Point came out, not a movie, but
Okay, let's go back to 2019 then. 2019, you had Godzilla King of the Monsters, and you had Attack of the Giant Teacher. Those are the first two. Howl from Beyond the Fog as well.
Yeah.
Howl from Beyond the Fog and Attack of the Giant Teacher are more, to me, are better than King of the Monsters. Howl feels like an art piece.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to hear my opinion on Howl, definitely check out our episode where we talk about Howl. Yes, yeah, that's true. Rex and I talk about both Howl, the Foghorn, and Day of the Kaiju in that episode. So definitely check that one out and check the movie out. Howl is a piece of art. Mm-hmm. Attack of the Giant Teacher, like King of the Monsters, tries to be aware of what it is, but Attack of the Giant Teacher is more endearing. It doesn't let its crazy idea cloud the fact that it is more than what it is.
I mean, that's the thing with American films as well, is that there's this, especially in the modern day, there's this insecurity to be weird and just like not completely gritty without having to like forcibly acknowledge, this is a silly movie. We're doing some very, very, very silly stuff here, you know?
Actually, I want to pull up a quote that I saw because it I admittedly I don't like the background for how I saw this, but let me pull it up here because what you just said perfectly like is found in this quote. And I found this quote really interesting, especially from the person who said it. Just because I just thought it was weird to see. I'm trying to find it as fast as possible. I'm not trying to
you slow poke.
Hey, I searched it. I'm just waiting for it to pop up.
We still have
here we go.
50 minutes of movie.
So this is James Gunn philosophy on a comic book movie. Okay. I love superheroes. I also think they're the dumbest thing that have ever existed. I have no happier times in my life than laying in my bed when I was 12 and reading comic books. I don't think life got much better than that. And yet the fact that we take these things seriously as adults is ridiculous because people really would look at you like they look at Peacemaker when he walks into Fennel Fields wearing a costume. What's wrong with you? You think that's cool? You're a maniac. The idea that superheroes are maniacs is something I like very much. Guardians is much different because it's really a science fiction story. They're not superheroes. They're not wearing masks, which is one of the reasons I think I had an easier time working my way into it. But in the Suicide Squad, you got guys wearing yellow costumes and all this stuff. I decided to go for what it would really be like. Treating these people like gods is like, what? I have a hard time imagining a guy who's really serious and wanting... Sorry, I just lost my spot. And wants revenge making a costume for himself and putting black around his eyes so his skin doesn't show when you look at him in the face. He's got the mask on. And also the eye makeup under it. There's a silliness to it that I can't deny. Not because it's making fun, but because it seems to me that silliness is what is real. So, because of that statement, people have been saying James Gunn shouldn't be running DC. From that, I kind of interpreted it as James Gunn has to acknowledge the fact that it's stupid. Like Peacemaker is a comedy, the Suicide Squad's a comedy. Even though the Suicide Squad is one of the greatest superhero movies made, it doesn't take itself seriously. There's quips, there's jokes, all that. But the thing about kaiju, specifically Japanese kaiju films, up until, I would argue, the late 2000s, is the filmmakers making them knew there was a sense of dread, a sense of danger, this brute force that we as humans cannot stop. And that is what I like. I like, even in the dumbest ones, there's comedy, but it's not a lot because there's still that sense of dread. In Godzilla vs. Gigan, you got the corn hippie. But
I love that guy.
There is still, at the end, Godzilla is a bloody mess. And, like, the stakes are pretty high. And they do build up this sense of, we have to stop this. Like, this is bad. Godzilla might lose. So it's that sense of, or it's not that sense, it's the enduring nature that some of these films have. Like Attack of the Giant Teacher.
Yeah.
Inherently stupid concept, but not once do they really like... I mean, at one point, the teacher grabs like something to cover himself up. But that's about it. Like, in the kaiju stuff, it's taken very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it does depend on the film. Like, there's still gags within the films acknowledging, the silliness. Like, but even then, that's typically A.G. Tsuburaya just putting in comedy for the kids largely as well, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. Or another good example is in Shin Godzilla, the soggy noodles line. Like, there are moments in these films where there's like a humor to them.
Mm-hmm.
But Shin Godzilla is also
had an issue of having too much MCU humor, which there's a little bit of that in this film, but I will concede that this film at least tones it down, so that's not overly distracting. I still find it a bit annoying in this film,
and I think partly how they reduced that is they increased it in the kaiju. Like Godzilla specifically, as we mentioned during the first fight, feels like to me like a cartoon character.
Even in his first appearance, he's moving like a cartoon character. Like when he's lumbering around.
I think you mentioned that too.
I believe I did.
So it's
like obviously I go into a Godzilla film. I expect him to do a little bit of like lumbering around
stuff.
Goofily. Like I don't expect him to be like. I don't expect it to be a 100% serious portrayal of Godzilla. I'm not asking for a 100% serious portrayal of Godzilla. I'm fine with him being a little bit goofy. I love the Showa Godzilla. Showa Godzilla is very goofy. But I just some part of it's a lot of it is the animation, I think. I wouldn't blame the animators per se. I just more blame the direction they were given. Yes, it is the style and direction of the movie that I take issue with. And that's why, for me, this movie completely just... It kind of works as a Kong movie. It doesn't work for me as a Godzilla movie.
Correct.
And that's what left me really disappointed coming out of the theater.
And that hits it perfectly here. It doesn't... Like, I feel like with the Kong... Like, Kong is inherently an American product.
Yeah, which is why it works to have, this American-styled movie.
But it would be like taking Yojimbo and remaking it as a... I mean,
as a Western?
They did do it as a Western. But, like, you can't do the samurai thing in the West. Like, I'm pretty sure there's
they
movies.
Did it as a Western.
Correct. And the thing about Godzilla is I'm pretty sure they even modeled the original, or like in their heads while creating this. Throughout the Showa era, they had the idea of like the lone Ronin samurai, like the. And I'm trying to remember what I heard that from, but I seem to recall.
I feel 2014 almost succeeds at that. I don't think it quite works 100%, but it 2014 clearly wants. It wants to have Godzilla still distinctly have his Japanese roots.
Correct. And when we did our 5-year...
I feel like this movie doesn't care about that very much. Like King of the Monsters shows it less than 2014, but obviously Michael Dougherty cares about Godzilla's Japanese roots, and he cares about some of the origins of the characters, the connection to the bomb, etc. It may not be handled very well in that film, but clearly there is an attempt there to do that. Where here Godzilla is just a lizard. You know, it's the most pedestrian take on Godzilla that we've gotten, where it's like, yeah, it's more like it is certainly Godzilla in appearance, but the actions just don't feel like Godzilla.
Correct. And in our 5-year anniversary retrospective on 2014 that we did,
5 year. Pretty sure it was 7 year. Pretty sure it was 7.
7 year? 7 year? Yeah. Okay. In our 7-year retrospective, I remember both of us mentioning how 2014 didn't feel like a traditional blockbuster. The look and the feel and even the story just it didn't hit to the same standards. And that was one of its strongest
aspects, honestly.
And part of that is it might have been Edwards who mentioned the samurai thing. I feel like it might have been when I
mean, it
was
probably
watching the bonus features.
Because I do feel that there is absolutely samurai inspiration in Godzilla, and even the music too kind of cues you in on that.
Yes. When you said that, my face lit up because I know like when I mentioned it, like I immediately thought of like Godzilla's eyes opening.
When his eyes open during the end scene.
Yes.
And that like flute or whistle type noise just comes in.
It's to me, the way it works, and I'm going to kind of reiterate what you said. 2014 is the most Japanese inspired. King of the Monsters is the love letter to the Japanese films that doesn't take inspiration, but points out the facts why they love it.
Yeah.
GVK is what Adam Wingard historically has done. And when we were talking to our friend Mike a while back, I remember we had this conversation about GVK. He specifically mentioned that in the horror community, he has basically made an argument for why it doesn't matter what the horror tropes are and what is established in horror, because he wants to just do what he wants, which is mostly a basic idea specifically for the Blair Witch. Because I watched Blair Witch before I watched GVK, and when I was reading about like the opinions and thoughts, the issue was Wingard took the concept of the original and basically just didn't care. Like he didn't care about the mystery. He just wanted to go with what he had, and thus created essentially a creature feature. Because, spoiler alert, you see the witch.
Oh, yeah. You see it, whereas in the original, you never see it in the movie.
So Adam Wingard historically has went and basically been like, I'm not going to follow what has been established, and I'm just going to do what I want to do. So in this case, Wingard wanted a wrestling match. And I'm going to explain why that doesn't work like it does in the 62 film a little later, whenever I can bring up a quote that's relevant to the scene we're talking about.
One thing I will give credit to on that, though, is at least as a remake, I do appreciate how it references the original, but isn't just ripping off the original movie, you know?
Wingard does do a good job at referencing stuff, better than Doherty did.
Yeah, Doherty's references are a bit...
They're too on the nose. Yes.
Yeah, they're too in your face. There's only really one moment where I'd say the reference is really in your face, and that's like with the axe and the tree in the original. That's probably the only in your face reference, or definitely the biggest one.
I agree.
But here, you know, there's elements taken from King Kong vs. Godzilla, and as you've pointed out, King Kong escapes.
The whole story feels like King Kong escapes.
Like the fight on the boat is meant to be a direct reference to the raft in the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, like that sort of stuff.
Kong
but
being taken by air.
Yeah, that too, especially. Like
being drugged.
that too. But I do appreciate that, unlike some other Godzilla films and other, you know, remakes, this isn't just telling the same story again but worse. Yeah, because one of my I don't like Godzilla vs. Mothra 92 because that
I knew you were going there.
Yeah. That film, the few scenes that work are all derivative of the 64 film or even the original Mothra. And so you end up just asking the question, why I'm not enjoying this. Why should I not just turn this off and put on the original? You know, this is just it's not a one-to-one comparison, but this is essentially the same. We're exploring the same topics. We're exploring a very similar conflict, but we've got worse special effects here, less engaging characters, and you know, both movies have the issue of going on for too long anyway. But like the original film's shorter, referring to Mothra versus not 61 Mothra.
Yeah.
So at least this film, in my long-winded explanation, at least this film feels like its own thing, even though
correct.
In some regards, you could argue that's a bit of a bastardization of the original's message, which I don't disagree with.
I'm going to get into that.
I've been waiting for you to get into that.
Because that is another argument that people have had with me. I'm going to do it specifically when Wingard says something in his commentary that I'm going to stop at that scene and be like, okay. Let's sit down and...
Do we want to resume or...
Yeah, we could go ahead and start back up if you've made your point.
Yeah, because we've been paused for like a while. We've gone on to like 4 separate topics.
Hey listeners, it's Rex in editing here. As our 50th episode celebration approaches the 2.5 hour mark, Elijah and I felt it would be necessary to split the remainder of this 5-hour recording into 2 parts. If you are enjoying this episode and would like to hear more from us, please consider checking out our various social media accounts, such as YouTube channels, Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, and more via the links within this episode's description. Stay on the lookout for everything wrong with Godzilla vs. Kong Part 2, and remember, life's too short to not talk big.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby. And not too big now, baby. Conversation. His name's Elijah, baby. And also Rex now, baby. We love those kaiju, baby. And you will too now.